I decided to leave Australia permanently last year, and it was probably the best choice I think I could have ever made. I moved officially around a year ago out of Australia, and there's a multitude of reasons why that took place. But essentially, if we fast day back, I just turned 30. It actually closes off like a nice chapter here. It closes off my 20s, growing up as a kid in Australia, my teens, my 20s, and then my 30s moving outside of Australia. Now, don't get me wrong, this video isn't to shitbag on Australia. Australia has a lot of great qualities. But if you've been thinking of moving, there are a lot of benefits to moving outside of Australia as well. So in this video, I'm going to tell you where I moved, why I moved, the bad things about Australia, the good things, where I moved, the benefits. So I don't really have any structure or any plan. I just thought this video could help a few of you guys, and I'm going to put out quite a few different ones talking about things like this on this channel. So I moved last year, as I said, moved outside of Oz. And for me, it was because in my early 20s, I took a lot of risks myself. I went to university. I studied my Bachelor of Human Movement, Biomechanics, Physiotherapy, and I thought that's the path that I wanted to go down and pursue. And I ended up finishing my degree. It took me 5 years. It took me a longer period. I was working. I had to support myself in Sydney. I moved up from Tassie as a kid on my own and started working to support myself. I have to cut that. I had to work and put myself through university. And it took me around 5 years to complete my degree. Now, during that period, whilst working, I was like, this can't be it. This can't be everything. And I was working every job. In fact, towards the end of my degree, I moved from Sydney to Newcastle up with my family. And then I basically was commuting down to Sydney, which was brutal at the time. But I finished my degree. I was working as hard as humanly possible at the same time. And I was thinking to myself, like, this can't be it. And I remember chatting to people and they're like, yeah, bro, you stick with this. After 10 years, you get your long service leave. And I was like, what's that? And they're like, you get a break, a paid break. And I was like, wait, so I have to trade 10 years to get my paid break here, my big paid break. And I was like, this is fucking shit. This is tragic. This can't be everyone's plan. So I started looking around. I ended up losing my job I worked at Masters, the hardware center, but it's because they got liquidated. I ended up losing my job there. And because I was a casual, even though I was working massive hours, I was getting paid a lot more than everyone else being a casual and working big hours, something I did smart at the time. I didn't get no redundancy package. I got none of that. And so I had to work another job, and I was working as a bartender, and I was like, this is just fucking shit. I can't do this forever. So I was trying every possible way to make money, and I was trying every business idea possible, and I was losing at everything. I was losing all my money. Anyway, fast forward, I got lucky enough that I stumbled across a business model, and I was the first person, you can choose to believe me or not, I don't mind. I was the first person anyway in Australia to start drop shipping on Facebook Marketplace. No one was doing it. Not another other person on Facebook Marketplace, and I knew because I used to scour every town, every city, and I used to have hundreds of Facebook accounts. So what I'd do is I'd copy products from AliExpress, I'd paste them on Facebook Marketplace, and then I would sit there and I would just reply to people all day. I would ship them, I would handle that, and eventually upgrade to having a website. And I got lucky with that. I got extremely lucky with that, being in early. And I made hundreds of thousands of dollars doing that. Okay, just sitting there, hundreds of accounts all day managing, copy, paste, reply, sending, do you want this? Fuck, do you want a pair of socks as well? Do you want shoes? Yep, boom, boom, handling orders. Okay, problem with the order, shit, I'll send you a free pair, da-da-da-da. And that was my entire fucking, mid-20s was hustling that. And then I started doing YouTube and I started doing other businesses, and I've been lucky to get lucky in business. But in my mid-20s, when I started seeing all this money come in, I was thinking, this is it. I'm going to be able to live in Oz. This is going to be great. And that's when I realized Australia has a very high cost of fucking living that's just climbing and just going up and up and up. And then I got hit with mega tax bills. Once you pass that threshold and that bracket in Australia, even if you set up as a company, I had a corporation set up, I had a trust set up. Even if you're paying yourself, you're still paying 30% corporate tax. But then you're paying GST on top, 10% on everything. Then you're paying PayG, which is GST, but they guesstimate how much you owe. Then you've got to pay your accountant fees, and they're thousands and thousands of dollars for your accountancy fees. You still got to do your personal income tax, and that's a whole separate thing. And then it just never stopped. And I was, as much money as I was making, I remember 1 year sitting there and I thought I'd done everything correct. I hired the wrong accountants, and I'd actually gone on a trip, and I was in Argentina, and they said, yep, here's your personal income tax bill. Here's your company tax bill. Here's this. These are from last year. We're sorry we didn't do it in enough time. We didn't give you much time. They gave me literally a month to pay this thing, maximum. I had a month. And they're like, your personal income tax that you owe is like 70 something thousand dollars. And here's your company one. It's worth a couple hundred. And I was like, hundreds of thousands of dollars. And they like, if I had spent that money, I would have been cooked. Absolutely cooked. And they didn't help me plan anything. But again, it's no one else's fault. It's my own. And so at that point, I was like, I'm never doing this again. And I started researching heavily about tax and cost of living. And I started traveling. I went to Dubai and looked at Dubai. I went to Portugal and looked at their visa. I went through Bali and looked at the nomad visas and options and Thailand and everything. And for years, there was no suitable option for me that I really liked. And I was like, Dubai's tragic for me. I don't know. This isn't a story about me moving to Dubai to pay no tax because Dubai just ain't my vibe. I've been there 3 times. I definitely couldn't live there long term. The people feel fictitious. They feel fake. Everything's expensive. Everything is about a status flex. And as much as I love money, I do love money. I can tell you now, I'm a fucking degenerate with my money. I grew up in the poor section in Tassie. So for me, I'd rather spend my money on a fucking Can-Am, driving around, fucking shooting guns, doing stupid shit, eating KFC, whatever. Anyway, that's how I'd rather spend my money. I couldn't think of anything worse than sitting there in a club in Dubai like this with a girl who's like, I'm here with my 10 out of 10 Russian girlfriend, and be like, she just spent $160 on this meal and I just spent it. Fuck that shit. I couldn't think of anything worse. I would hate every moment that I was sitting there doing that shit. So anyway, fast forward, let's get into the actual juice. I left Australia simply because of the high cost of living, the ridiculous taxes, and the woke society. Australia's just getting more and more woke and more restrictions. I had a client from the US, for example, pay me money for consulting, a large amount of money for consulting. And because that bank transfer come across in one big payment, I woke up and I was like, okay, I'll check, where's my payment, I should have cleared. My whole bank account was gone. Imagine waking up and your bank account is gone. Literally, I logged into CommBank and that entire account just gone. And the money just disappeared. They didn't say anything. I was like, what the fuck? Scoured through my emails, nothing. I went to spam in my emails and it come through spam. And it was like, this is the fraud department from CommBank. We need you to call us immediately. I called them. Yep, this could be a potential, fraudulent payment. You have to prove to us that this is your money that you made legitimately. And I was like, oh no, some retards just accidentally wired me all this money. So I had to prove to them. I sent them the receipts, I sent them the conversation logs. I sent them everything. And they're like, okay, great. We do believe you, but it can take up to 6 months for us to unfreeze your account. Mind you, this is my company account where I'm spending thousands a day on ads at that point. I have payroll for certain staff, not payroll in Oz because I would never do that, but I had, people to pay on Upwork. I had like my little staff members that I had things with from overseas. Ad cost, product cost. I had all of this shit. And I was like, that is just fucked. And that was really the tipping point for me where I was like, okay, I'm not doing this shit anymore. I'm not being held hostage. Around the jab period as well, where everyone was locked down, they were censoring everything. I remember speaking on that and watching my channel engagement drop massively, which dropped my revenue massively. And I was like, this just is not the place for me anymore. And so here we go. This is where I decided to move to, and I'll tell you guys why I moved. I moved officially, not last year, the year before now, I would say. Well, last year was the year that I went, but I officially planned it on the November of the year before. I seen a dude on YouTube, weirdly enough, and me and him are good mates now, talking about Paraguay. And so, I like to say it like that, in a Spanish way, Paraguay. I went to Paraguay, and I decided to set up my personal income tax there. Now, this ain't an easy process. You have to remove your Australian tax. There are a lot of steps to that and a lot of things. You have to establish a domicile in Paraguay. Anyway, I am fully set up in Paraguay now. That's my house. That's my domicile. That's a place where I live. That's a place I do business. I have this channel that now we'll talk about it as well, which further solidifies things to the ATO, but that's where I live. And if you don't know, Paraguay is a very beautiful place. It's very safe, hot weather. The people there are amazing. The community is amazing. The coffee's good. The food is exceptional. The best I've had in South America, and I've been everywhere in South America. I've been Colombia, Brazil. I've been to fucking Argentina. I've been fucking everywhere. Peru. People say Peru's the culinary place, but I've been everywhere in South America. I reckon literally Asuncion has some of the best food in the world. The meat is astounding. But anyway, I'm set up there as a legal tax resident. So that's my place of domicile now. I'm set up in Paraguay. That's where I live. You pay 0% tax on money earned outside of the country. So anything I earn online outside of Paraguay is taxed at 0%. Pretty happy with that. Remove your Australian tax residency so you don't know Australian tax. And then my money that I make inside of Paraguay, so say I have a cafe or a storage unit, I'm planning on building out storage units and other things there, rental income streams, you pay around 10%, okay? You can deduct, certain things and whatever, but you pay 10%, which to me is more than fair. And I have accountants there that handle my RUC filings. I have my residency done in Paraguay, so I'm also a resident and eventually I'll be a citizen of Paraguay. That gives me benefits to travel through South America as a LATAM fucking specialty as well. Paraguay is the place. And trust me, people from Dubai will end up coming to Paraguay because it's a lot cheaper. There's a lot less requirements. You don't need to be there once in every 6 months. You don't need to do all the game medical test shit. I hate giving blood. It makes me sick thinking about it. You don't need to do any of that shit, okay? You just go, set it up, get established, and that's it. And then obviously you're going to need a corporation to handle your company and to handle your business. And you have a whole different array of options for that. You can set up US LLCs as partial entities in Wyoming or Delaware. You can set up the Ethiopian route, what's the fucking, why have I lost my fucking countries? What's next to Lithuania? Starts with E. Estonia, that's it. You can set up an Estonian company, but again, I don't like that because you still pay tax when you withdraw things, and there's ways around it where you withdraw as dividends, but you still end up paying money out. I don't like that complex structure. For me, I established in Hong Kong. So as long as I sell to no one in Hong Kong, they have a foreign exemption on corporate tax as well. So I don't pay tax on any money that's generated outside of Hong Kong. Combine that with the personal income tax. Hong Kong is definitely the more expensive route, but it gives you access to premium banking, premium payment providers. You're not going to have a problem. Those payment providers and things like that give you a lot more leniency when you're established in Hong Kong. And then the benefit is crypto. All the money that I take in crypto, and I do take a lot in crypto, okay, that is non-taxed. They don't have crypto tax at all in Paraguay. So money comes in crypto. I can take that money, I can invest it into more crypto, or I can stake it, which I have a good portfolio where I stake my crypto as well, and I earn money from that. So I essentially moved to Paraguay. Now, it's not where I live all year. It is the place where I live the majority of the year, okay, I would say, is more than anywhere else I'm in Paraguay, but it's because I really enjoy Paraguay as a focused monk mode, building business, building community, and I see the opportunity there. So why wouldn't I want to be at the forefront and be at the hub of that? And you can see from this channel, because I decided smarter to post these sort of videos on this vlog channel, I spend the rest of my time traveling. I was just in the US. I drove through 21 states. We did 21 states driving through. That was fucking awesome. I went to, last year, I went through all of South America. I go to New Zealand quite often. I'm flying to Thailand in a few weeks. That's like my 30th trip in Thailand, which is crazy. I usually stay in Thailand for a few months and train Muay Thai and MMA and Jiu-Jitsu. I've done Jiu-Jitsu for about 7 years now. So I hustle down there in Thailand, do that. Then I'll dip out. I'm actually doing some business in Russia. I met a real big G in the US, real cool guy, worth a lot of money. So me and him are potentially going to collaborate on some things. And I really want to work with people with good character like that. Travel through China this year, Philippines, Japan as well, and then dip back to Paraguay. So I'll be posting on this channel things that I think are helpful for you guys. Things like how to set up and where to go and who to chat with and all those sort of helpful things and building a nomad sort of visa life, building a life where you have complete freedom. I wouldn't even call it nomad. That word sounds stingy. I like the word like a freedom-based lifestyle, a life that is independent from systems. So that's me. I spend most of my time being a degenerate on Instagram. I'm never on Twitter. I post on TikTok only if I'm in a country where I know I can go viral and I can use it for something. I have a utility. Like I can post in Paraguay and hire people very quick with TikTok. Same with other countries for videographers or things like that. Other than that, I don't really use TikTok. I'll occasionally get back on there, realize that it's fucking tragic and bounce. I just use Instagram. So you can add me on Instagram if you want to chat, and that's it. Feel free to leave any suggestions for any other videos, any ideas. If you're thinking about moving out of Oz, this may be the time to make the move because you really can get ahead a lot quicker in life. If you're living in low-cost places, you're not paying unfair amounts of tax, and you have this money coming in and it's compounding. It's a lot easier to make money when you have money. So that's all I have for you guys. Hope you enjoyed. I'm going to go smash one of the best things in Oz, which is a bacon and egg fucking wrap. You can't do it anywhere. A bacon and egg burger. You can't do it anywhere better. Nowhere in the world does it better than here. I'll stand by that. I'll fight with a sword to the grave to defend that. See you in the next video, eh? Appreciate you all.